All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. And with all 82 games in the regular season for each team in the National Basketball Association in the books, it is now time to focus on the league's play-in tournament. And before I go any further, I want to thank everybody who is and who will tune in to this edition tonight. Just apologizing in advance. There's an issue with the chat box on here. So with that said, please feel free to drop your comments and I will get back to you on those as soon as possible. But nonetheless, the NBA's play-in tournament, and it has its critics and it has its supporters, but nonetheless, we know that the play-in tournament is here to stay, at least for now. So, of course, if you get the top six in your respective conference, you are making your way to the playoffs. And, of course, teams 7 through 10 have to sweat it out in the play-in round. Bottom line is you want to go out there and take care of your business as quickly as possible so you can get yourself some rest and get ready for the postseason. Now, I want to start off with the 7-8 matchup in the East as we have the Philadelphia 76ers set to host the Orlando Magic. Both Philadelphia and Orlando went 45 and 37 during the regular season. The Boston Celtics await the winner of this contest. And you look at it during the regular season, we saw the Sixers take 2 out of 3 from Orlando. The health for both of these teams coming in because both Philadelphia and Orlando have been dealing with a slew of injuries all season long. And not to play the woulda, coulda, shoulda card, but if Philly and Orlando are healthy, we're probably not even talking about them in the play-in tournament right now. But nonetheless, speaking of the health of Orlando, the health of Franz Wagner. We saw him, come back from an injury. He was trying to gut it out last night against Boston, and he gave it everything he had. Make no mistakes about it. But he just wasn't ready. He's not physically there right now. So with that said, there's still plenty of talent on this Orlando team. Paolo Banchero, Jalen Suggs, Desmond Bain. And situations like this, if you were Orlando, this is why you went out there and got Desmond Bain from Memphis. All of that playoff experience, all of that grittiness, this is where you need a guy like him to step up. And honestly, for those youngsters on this Orlando team, like Paolo Banchero, as well as Jalen Suggs, this is their opportunity. This is what you're drafted high for as a lottery pick. This is why you're looked at as some of the faces of the franchise. You got to step up in these games. On the flip side for Philadelphia, of course, no Joel Embiid had the appendectomy, and unfortunately for him, he just continues to be bit by the injury bug. But this Sixers team is very deep. You've got the likes of Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, and of course, injuries to players like Joel Embiid over the last couple of years have allowed Tyrese Maxey to showcase himself. And you know what? Tyrese Maxey is one of those guys. He does not fear the big moment. You could see it as well in the rookie and VJ Edgecombe. And another question for me, a wild card, if you will, for the Philadelphia 76ers. Which version of Paul George are we going to get? Are we going to get the playoff P version, as he calls himself? We've got to wait and see. But nonetheless, Philadelphia is at home in this one, and I like the Sixers to advance. But nonetheless, just switching gears real quick, like I said before, there's some technical difficulties with the chat box. Apologies. Please drop your comments. I will get to them as soon as possible once this is over. The other contest in the play-in in the East. We've got the 10th seeded Miami Heat tomorrow night traveling to take on their division rivals and the 9th seeded Charlotte Hornets. Of course, for the loser of this game, their season is done, while the winner of this contest tomorrow will get the loser between Orlando and Philadelphia. Now, during the regular season, Miami took 3 out of 4 from Charlotte. The Heat, it's one of those I'm not going to say that they backed in because they still finished 43 and 39, but nonetheless, Miami did not play good basketball coming down the stretch. They lost 10 out of their last 15, hence why they're in the play-in tournament right now. Um, for me, when I look at this Heat team, the first question I'm going to ask is which team is going to show up because the talent is there, folks. Miami should be a lot better than what they are. Of course, some of that is due to injuries, some of that is just simply due to inconsistencies. But you look at it, a guy like Bam Adebayo, he scored 83 points earlier this season. Yeah, it was against Washington, but nonetheless, Bam taking away the scoring, he could still, impact this game in other ways with his rebounding, with his leadership. Okay. Tyler Harrell, the ultimate wild card for me with the Miami Heat, because you know what? Once he gets in that zone, look out. You got a veteran like Norman Powell. You have a veteran like Andrew Wiggins. Are they going to step up and answer the bell in this one? But then on the flip side for Charlotte, I think what we're seeing this year from the Hornets, it's one of the best stories in basketball. 44 and 38, their first winning season in quite some time. They're looking to get to the postseason for, I think it's their first time in a decade. Okay. And no team during the regular season made more three pointers per game than these Hornets. You look at what Charlotte can do to you on the perimeter with the likes of LaMelo Ball, Con Canepo, who could be the NBA's Rookie of the Year. He could beat out his former college teammate Cooper Flagg to do so, as well as Brandon Miller. And then you have a veteran up front like Miles Bridges. Also, I think with something with Charlotte that a lot of people ain't talking about enough, and that's the addition of Kobe White. A lot of Bulls fans probably were sad to see when the team parted with Kobe White, but you know what? This guy has kind of been somewhat of a glue, if you will, for this Charlotte team. And then, of course, I like the way that the Hornets are playing defensively, much better at the defensive end of the court than Miami. And then, of course, it doesn't hurt if you're Charlotte to have a rim protector like a Ryan Kalkbrenner. I'll tell you like this. Like I said, Charlotte is looking to make the playoffs for the first time in a decade, while Miami is looking to get there for the 19th time in the last 22 years. Shows you the consistency of both of these teams, or then some. But nonetheless, everything screams to me that Atlanta, a part of me that Charlotte is going to go out there and win this game. However, I simply don't bet against the Heat in the play-in tournament because they always seem to find a way. I could be wrong, but I think Miami finds a way to pull this one out and keep on going. Now, switching over to the West, the 7-8 matchup has Portland traveling to take on Phoenix. And of course, the winner of this contest will get San Antonio in round number one, while the loser gets the loser of the Warriors and the Clippers. Pardon me, the winner, rather, excuse me, of the Warriors and the Clippers. And I'll tell you like this. The Portland Trailblazers came into this season with a ton of adversity. Of course, we know all about the Chauncey Billups situation right there. And, nonetheless, a lot of people wrote Portland off before this season was over. Not only did Portland get to the play-in, which I think is a huge boost for them, they also finished this regular season with a winning record for the first time in 5 years. Now, we saw Phoenix take the season series from Portland 2 games to 1. I'll tell you like this. For me, first and foremost, Portland, I think, is playing with house money. That's number one. They can go out there and win this game. Don't get me wrong. You've got Denny Avdia up front. You also have Donovan Clingan, the former first round pick out of UConn, who is really coming into his own, playing close to the basket, and of course cleaning up on the boards. A veteran guard like Drew Holiday, and let me rephrase that: a veteran point guard. And I'm not just saying a point guard by title, a legit point guard that can get the people involved around him. And then, of course, Shadon Sharp. Will Jeremy Grant be good to go in this one for Portland? We got to wait and see. But nonetheless, for the Suns, it's one of those, when Matt Ishbia came in, he tried to just, add water and stir and get himself a championship, and clearly it didn't work out. Right now, for the first time under Ishbia's watch as Suns team owner, they finally have some stability. Not a lot was expected of Phoenix this year, but they are still here with an opportunity to get to the postseason. Of course, it all starts and ends with Devin Booker. He's their best player. Dylan Brooks, we saw him suffer that hand injury. Is he going to be able to go for Phoenix in this one? And then, of course, you got the likes of Jalen Green and Grayson Allen. Now, this is one of those games where Phoenix is favored by 4.5 points, and I get it that they are at home. But if Portland were to win this game and advance to the playoffs, I would not be surprised. Once again, folks, like I said before, apologies. The chat box, I'm having some technical difficulties in with it. Can't see your comments right now, but nonetheless, do drop some comments, and I will definitely get back to you ASAP. And finally, the final contest of the play-in, the first round of the play-in at least. We've got the 10th seed in the West, Golden State, traveling to take on the ninth seeded Clippers. And of course, you look at this, somebody's season is going to be done on Wednesday night. Which one of these perennial playoff teams will it be? During the regular season, the Clippers took 3 out of 4 from Golden State, which included the regular season finale for both of these clubs. Golden State is not coming in with a lot of momentum. They dropped 7 of their last 8. The injury bug is really hurting the Warriors right now. Matter of fact, of all of the teams in the play-in, the Dubs are the only ones who have a losing record. They finished the season with a record of just 37-45. We saw Jimmy Butler go down with the ACL injury. Kristaps Porzingis just came back. So did Steph Curry. But is it going to be enough? You look at the way that Kawhi Leonard has played for the bulk of this season, and it's been vintage Kawhi for the Clippers. It wasn't good enough for them to be top 6 in the West, but nonetheless, this team, if they get in, could be a dangerous squad. I look at the additions of Darius Garland and Benedict Mathurin, of course, former Central Division rivals with Cleveland and Indiana, respectively. Now they're doing their part for the Clippers. Also, keep an eye out for a guy like John Collins. He was a big part of that Atlanta run to the conference final several years ago with him and Trae Young. John Collins is a guy that if you sleep on him, he can go out there and put in buckets. Also, keep an eye out for veteran guard Chris Dunn. Like I said, Golden State did not end the season with a lot of momentum, a lot of injuries. They're going to need Steph Curry to turn back the clock to about 10 years ago if they're going to find a way to win this game. I simply don't see it happening. The Clippers are favored by 4.5 points at home. I think the Clippers win by double digits, and I think Golden State's season is going to come to an end. But nonetheless, that's how I see the first round of this play-in tournament playing out. I think that Philly has what it takes to advance and play take on Boston. I think Phoenix can win at home, okay, in that 7-8 game in the West. But again, like I said before, if Portland wins that game, out of all 4 of these games, that would be the game, right? That would be a team right there. I would not be surprised. The Miami-Charlotte game, I think, can go either way. I think Golden State is on borrowed time in more ways than one. Just my personal thoughts. But nonetheless, the postseason in the National Basketball Association is here. The bottom line is win or go home. Who has what it takes to advance in the play-in? Just got to wait and see. But nonetheless, fine folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Once again, apologies. There's some issues, some technical issues with the chat box. Like I said, do drop your comments. I will respond, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Also, if you like what you heard and saw on this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. And like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out anytime at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you give me that follow, it will be my pleasure to do the same in return. And that also goes for Instagram, where you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you're on Facebook, definitely be sure to check out the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports groups going on social media. And definitely, Be sure to stay tuned to this channel all throughout the NBA playoffs, as I've got a lot to talk about between now and the end of June, when we get to see who will hoist the Larry O'Brien Trophy as NBA champs for 2026. But nonetheless, folks, again, apologies for the issues with the chat box. Just drop those comments and I will get back to you. And once again, thanks for tuning in. And until the next time, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.